Here we go. It's the Fish Life Podcast special Bassmaster Classic Edition. This is the first post-game show. It can't get no fresher than this, dog.
Nope,
it can't get no fresher than this haircut, and it can't get no fresher than this post-game show, folks at home. We're the first post-game show, and oh yeah, we're the only ones. Let me tell you why. Because we're the only ones that are about to tell you what we think is completely wrong with this event known as the Bassmaster Classic. There's a couple things that stuck in my craw today. And me and Chris have discussed it very briefly. We never really planned things out of rehearsal. But we're going to tell you guys what we think is really jacked up. The Bassmaster Classic, everybody loves it. Super Bowl bass fishing. Tell me, Cody Cannon. Everybody loves the Classic, right? It's sacrilege to speak bad about the Classic. But you know what? We call out the MLF and we think they're wrong. We fixing to call out the Bassmaster Classic. Because there's a couple things that I would like to see change and improve. Both of which probably ain't going to happen. But we're going to talk about it and complain about it anyway. Because a complaining Marine is a happy Marine, Chris.
Our voices must be heard.
Cheers. That's why we got this platform. That's why we got cheers, y'all. Drop them comments, hit them likes, and damn sure hit them shares. Because it is time to...
Get down.
There it is.
That's right. I wore this shirt specifically before tonight's episode.
You did. You picked it out.
Yeah.
Special order.
Because everybody's got opinions, and a lot of people are afraid to share theirs. Well, we're not.
Never been accused of that one.
Here, look, I have an idea. You stare at that one, I'll stare at this one because I'm having a hard time.
Is it weird having two? We are live on both YouTube and Facebook on both Your Lake Fork Guy pages on YouTube and Facebook. Do us a favor, though. The shares do help us tremendously. We obviously need it. We're a couple of idiots that love to talk about fishing and all kinds of other stuff. And we enjoy doing what we do. But, man, we sure do need y'all's help. So go ahead and share that for us. Hit those likes. Drop those comments so we know who we're talking to. Speaking of that, let's say some hellos and how you doing. Ain't no way we can get to all of them. We over 100 already. We'll go with a few of them. Brian Richardson, Ryan Burrows, Troyce Corrales, Michael Menon, Bustin' Outdoors, Brian Muirhead, John Higginbotham, Vic Pearsall, John Crosby, Tristan White. Skip over me. A lot of people, Mark Williams. I just did something. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't get it off. This is a problem, Chris. There we go.
Oh.
We're back.
Oh.
Little shaky. Hey.
We're back.
In case y'all missed it, this is the Fish Life Podcast, which makes this the lowest budget, actually live podcast that there is.
Yeah.
Right?
We actually still owe money on this deal.
We're for sure. And it's not much money invested.
That's right.
Because what we got is we got one iPhone hooked up to a charging cord. And now, since we're on two platforms, we're getting big time. We got a second one that's a busted iPhone, iPhone, which is why that screen's not so clear. We apologize for that. We will work on at least getting a clear screened iPhone for you guys to stream on. Yep. But somebody said something the other night in this deal about, come on, man, it's 2022. Like, get some better equipment. Like, bro, listen, I'm not an idiot. Like, if I wanted to grow a giant YouTube channel, yeah, I would invest in that. But I don't really ever care. I've never really cared about growing a giant YouTube channel. I'm not worried about what the product looks like, because y'all don't want to see us in HD anyway.
Thanks.
I'm not really worried about the audio quality because my voice sounds like a dude that rode the short bus to school anyway. I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm worried about is the information that gets out on these podcasts and these videos. We're worried about giving you guys information because all we really care about is helping each other catch more and bigger fish and loving our fellow man. That's what we've been about since day one, what we always will be about. And as fans, which is kind of morphed into a deal on this podcast in particular, where we're just huge fans of bass fishing like all of you guys are. And so at times, we want to talk about the events. We want to cover the events. We want to discuss that with you guys. But at times, we like to call out what we think is flawed in our favorite sport. Because the reality is, not that we have a huge voice or we're going to change things, but eventually we hope that someday if enough people recognize this stuff and bring it up and talk about it, maybe someday will affect positive change for the sport.
I mean, sports fans of all different sports, albeit basketball, football, golf, baseball, whatever, fans enjoy to criticize the sport that they love so much. But in bass fishing, it's never really been...
Bro, there's a whole entire industry.
Yes.
Of sports talk radio, all different things like
that's
that.
What I'm saying.
And that's essentially what this is. This is bass fishing sports talk radio.
That's right.
That's what this is. So we are going to call out the flaws when we find them and things that we perceive to be flaws. So that's what's going to happen tonight. Chris, pull up our agenda because we do have several topics on the Bassmaster Classic that I want to dive into tonight, buddy. And the first one that I want to talk about now, we are going to get into some of the negative stuff. We're going to save that for the end. So you guys hang in there for that. But there's some really, really good things. Obviously, I mean, we all love this sport. We love Bassmaster. We love the Classic. In today's world, when you've got athletes making political statements that you may or may not agree with, at the same time they're doing that, they've got 15 baby mamas and a record and drug and alcohol issues, and not that some of that doesn't exist in the world of fishing, but as a whole, these people that we watch at the very highest level, in any professional sport that you want to point to, this is by far, easily, hands down, the best quality group of people you'll find in any sport. Mm-hmm. How many times today did one of those guys thank the good Lord for the opportunity to be at the Classic? The guys that lost. I mean, the guys that lost are up there thanking the good Lord just for the opportunity to be involved in this sport. It is so unbelievable, the quality of people that are involved in this sport. And I see day to day, do we have our issues with each other at times? Sure we do. Some of the stuff we get into, catty and petty and silly, yes it is. But in general, 99.9999% of the people that you meet involved in the world of bass fishing are the kind of people that I personally aspire to be like. They're hardworking. They're earnest. They believe in personal accountability. They believe in, family first. And most importantly, they believe in God. It is a sport that I really, really, really hope my kids get passionate about following and watching because of that example. We are so lucky to have the group of people that we do in this sport. It's easy for us to watch it with our family. It's great. It's a positive experience to watch it with your family every time. So whatever else we say, we have some issues with how a couple things went down. We're going to talk about that. Overall, this is the most unbelievable sport on both sides, MLF and bass. Most unbelievable group of guys. And I could not be prouder to be part of an industry than when I see these guys represent this sport the way they do on the biggest stage at the Bassmaster Classic. So thank you to everybody involved in bass and the people involved in this sport in general overall. It makes me really proud to be a part of this industry. So thank you guys for that. Let's talk about how, Chris, you got anything to add on that?
No, you pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Yep, all right. Appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't often get those from you.
Yeah, no. Call it like I said.
So the other thing that I want to talk about is, before we get into the tournament itself, is do you see how much this means to these guys? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about something. So it's easy to go, man, look at these guys crying on the stage. Ha ha, look at these criers, right? Mm-hmm. Before you say that, like so many of these guys cried up there on that stage today. Just they're so grateful for that opportunity. They're getting the welling up. They're getting tears. Folks, you need to understand, just like we just talked, these are men's men. These guys are in the elements every day. They fish no matter what the weather does. Them guys that were at Lake Fork with MLF last week took a beating in the wind and the cold and kept on trucking. These are some of the toughest, most mentally toughest, and most determined individuals, and physically tough too, that you will ever meet in your life. They're men that put it all on the line to chase something they love, to try and feed their family, and they're not getting rich. They're not doing it for multi-million-dollar contracts. And they still go out and sacrifice all their physical and mental well-being. These are some of the most mentally tough guys that have been there, done that, seen real things, dealt with raising a family, which if you've ever raised a family, you know trying times are coming your way. Like when you start raising a family, there's bad things that are going to happen that are going to scare you to death, and you're not going to know how you're going to get out of it, and you're going to have to figure it out. These men have dealt with all that. Mentally, I cannot express to you how tough these guys are as far as a group of people, and yet men's men are on this national stage on a television camera crying just over the opportunity to be at this event. If that doesn't make you fall in love with this sport and doesn't make you fall in love with this event, the Bassmaster Classic, you're watching the wrong game. I don't know what else is going to do it for you, because that speaks so much volumes over everything else. Chris, take over, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the emotion that you see when these guys come up to the stage, like you have to understand the amount of sacrifice with their family and
How much
friends
they missed
and
a kid's
how-
birthday
yeah,
or
just to go out there and grind on them in the elements, like you said before, and you miss so much to get to this level, to the highest level of competition in the sport, and for that to all come to the forefront and you be able to accomplish what you set out to accomplish.
Yep.
That's
That's what makes, and we said this a couple weeks or last week or 2 weeks ago on the podcast, I think we said this. That's what makes us love sports in general. Any
Right.
sport. Whether you
No
love
doubt.
football, basketball, baseball, tennis, golf, whatever you love.
no doubt.
It's why sports is like the most popular thing for people to watch and always has been. It's real stories. It's reality TV, original reality TV.
Correct.
And you get to watch a guy's life ambition that he's put everything on the line for culminate live in front of you.
Yeah.
That's what makes us love sports.
I always thought, honestly, it was kind of one of the flaws in broadcasting because I think it's good to see and good to understand, but at the same time, you're seeing a lot of these guys' emotions on their worst day. You know what I mean?
Sometimes.
I always thought that was kind of in some
Yeah.
instances, a flaw.
Take a look at Ike and Ellie, right?
Right.
We have seen Ike and Ellie have some moments that he wishes he probably didn't have.
Right.
The dog thing,
Yeah.
the flag stomping. Remember that? I mean, I know he hates that he did that.
Right.
But everybody sees Mike Iaconelli screaming over a 2-pounder
Right.
and sees Mike Iaconelli lose his temper when he loses a fish. Sees him break a rod and throw it in the lake when he lost the TTBC at Conroe.
Right.
Like we see that. What you don't see is Mike Iaconelli off the water.
Right.
Like by all accounts, from everybody that I know in the industry, off the water, away from competition, that is the most laid back, family loving, good guy, good friend, great man. Like he is A+++ in every category, except sometimes when he's on the water, he's so mentally and emotionally invested that it gets the better of him at times.
Well,
And we see it live.
You get to a point where you see some of these things live, and you form an opinion based on a guy's passion, and to some degree, that's wrong,
Right.
in my opinion. But again,
Yeah.
you look at these guys, like today especially. I was watching it until I had to drive over here because you're not supposed to drive and watch YouTube, guys. Don't do that. Get you in a bind.
Unless the Bassmaster Classic's on.
But it's
I think there's an exception.
it gets dangerous.
Like up here around Lake Fork in East Texas, I think they make an exception for that.
Yeah, I would have tried it, but some windy roads on the way here, so I figured I'd just put it on hold. I figured you had it for me.
Somebody's calling you out for wearing that T-shirt, and then we're talking about emotions. Don't worry, you'll understand the meaning of the
Yeah.
T-shirt at
Oh,
the
yeah.
end.
No.
We'll get there. It's coming. It is coming. No, it is. There's no denying how much it means. And here's the other thing about it: $300,000, $100,000 for the Elite Series, with $300,000. That is not what this is about. Like the money doesn't make you react that way. I don't care how much money it is, unless you're just one of the most mentally flawed people on earth. No amount of money is going to make you that emotional when you don't even win it.
Right.
Like nothing's changing this guy. Like the guy who's up there crying that's in 10th place, that's just so happy he made it to the Classic.
Right.
That guy's life's not changing.
No.
Nothing's happening. His family's going to love him the same tomorrow. His haters are going to hate him the same tomorrow.
He's just happy to have had the opportunity to be there.
Nothing changed. This is not about money. Scott Martin, today, honoring his father and promising him that I'm going to win one for you, Dad. Like, that has nothing to do with money. And Lord knows Scott don't need the money. You know what I mean? Like, neither does Roland. But I'm just saying, like, that's what's really cool. That's the best part about it. The best part about it is the quality of people that are in it and what it means to these guys and how we get to see all of it unfold live. It's beautiful. Thank God for live coverage coming around in bass fishing. It is amazing. As much as I enjoyed the old Bassmaster shows so much. I loved them. I actually was, when they went to doing the live coverage and did away with the TV shows, I hated it. I hated it. I didn't like it at all. But now that I've gotten to watch all these things unfold in real time, even though I miss the production value of the old TV shows,
Yeah.
it's so much better. It's so much more valuable getting the real time stuff. So,
I don't like how they don't air the weigh-in all the way through on FS1. I'm mad about that.
I wish, yeah, I would like to see that adjustment made where they carried the live coverage till all the guys were off the water, and then they aired the weigh-in as part of the deal.
I
But
almost
there's
want like a build-up.
the problem is there's so much logistics involved.
No doubt.
For
No
something like that, there's like a 2-hour break between fishing and weighing in
No doubt.
because of all the logistics when you're putting on an event of that scale and fish care and
Right.
all that stuff is so big and so important that it becomes a very, very real challenge that you just can't keep the live stream going.
So here's what we do. We do the fishing live stream. Then you take your couple-hour break, and maybe we air Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, and then it
everybody
comes.
gets to watch Happy Gilmore, and then we can go straight into the
Then it comes
Bassmaster Weigh-In.
back on. You just want the weigh-in to be live streamed on Fox as well.
Even better. You put on Bait Shop for the 2 hours.
Perfect, nailed it.
Done.
Did you see that the Bassmaster Classic was on the actual national Fox
Yes.
network
Yep. That's
on
huge.
Saturday?
That's huge.
We've seen the Red Crest on CBS. Now we've seen the Bassmaster Classic on Fox. Guys, that is a huge step for this sport.
That's right.
That is a really big deal for the sport. This sport is improving, and it's only good for people that want to be in the industry.
Man, if you don't think this sport's growing at an astronomical rate, just look at all these high school tournaments.
Oh, man.
I
No
mean,
doubt.
It's crazy.
All right, Caleb, this is a great question. We have this topic on the docket tonight. So stay tuned because at the end we are going to go, this is one of the things we're going to go over. So I have a big question. Why is the Classic called the Super Bowl of Fishing but doesn't have some of the bigger names like Jacob Wheeler, MDJ, etc.? We're getting into that. We're gonna go all the way in
That
on
is
that.
that is a great question, Caleb. All right.
So let's talk about the tournament itself, Chris. Before the tournament started, we did a live stream with me and Zach and Keaton. You weren't here last Sunday, so we didn't get to do our deal like we normally do.
Right.
Had a great conversation with Jacob Wheeler last weekend after he did so well in the fork event. Didn't win in the final round, but man, dominated the first 2 days of that event in his group.
By all accounts, he's the best in the world. Look at what he's doing right now.
He is the best in the world. He's starting to create that gap that Kevin used
It's
to
getting
have.
scary.
If he goes on and wins Angler of the Year again this year, it's that gap is there, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's there. He's so unbelievably good. So let's talk about this. So predictions for the tournaments. I know I talked to you a little bit. You said that you had actually predicted Stetson Blaylock to win, and then you wanted Hank Cherry to win just because it would be cool to see three-peat,
Right.
which is similar to what we had on predictions Thursday night. Was Zach picked Hank Cherry because he wanted to see a three-peat.
Right.
I actually picked Patrick being from South Carolina
Right.
and being hungry, and Patrick cares about legacy. So I picked Patrick, but I wasn't I couldn't find the Classic field list on the website anywhere. So I wasn't sure if Stetson was in the field or not, but I said, if Stetson's in the field, he's my pick.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I wasn't sure. Well, he was in the field,
Yeah.
and he almost got it done. So long story short, another week where if we're in fantasy fishing, we're doing really good, right? Because you've got Stetson, I've got Stetson, I got Patrick. He didn't do bad.
No.
And you had Hank Cherry. He didn't do bad.
No.
Yeah, like all of our picks are there on the last day, right around the top 10 area. So, very good week for us on making picks. Didn't pick the winner. A lot of people picked. We're picking Jason Christie before the event, and in our live stream on Thursday, the preview, a lot of people picked it. Jason Christie. I mean, I heard. What about? Did you hear like guys pick that? Mm-hmm. So my deal was, I just assumed that people. It seemed like to me people were making that pick more of what they wanted to see,
Right.
not so much of what they thought would happen. Because yes, Jason Christie's one of the best anglers of a generation, and yes, we know Jason Christie wants this tournament more than anything on earth, and we saw that come to fruition today. I don't know if we've actually said this or not. Freaking congratulations, Jason Christie! Like
Yeah, no
finally,
kidding.
bro,
No kidding.
finally, my man has got his classic trophy. Nobody deserves it any more than Jason Christie.
That dude right there, that classic win has eluded him twice.
He's been in the lead on Sunday twice.
Twice.
He had a 5-pound lead and either a 6 or a 4-pound lead. He's had about a 5-pound lead 2 different times on Sunday. Last time being Grand Lake, his home lake.
Yep, that's right.
And Evers runs up to the Elk River and catches 30 pounds, and he kind of let off the throttle a little bit, and Evers went right by him.
Mm-hmm.
He has, no offense to Jason, but for lack of a better term, I hate to say choked in fishing because it's not really choking in fishing. It's
Right. It's so
it's
easy.
fishing,
It's
dude.
so easy for things to not go your way.
Things happen in this sport. This is you're dealing with nature and element. It's different, but so it's not really choking. But I mean, as close as you can get is choking and fishing. He's done it
I choked yesterday.
twice.
So I get it.
He's done it twice at this tournament, and it's really stuck with him. And he's come out and admitted that it has. So to see him get that monkey off that back was amazing and awesome. Congratulations, Jason Christie, one more time. But I felt like people were picking him because they wanted him to win. Because if you look at Jason Christie's history, he has had some success on Hartwell in particular. But typically, Jason Christie is not a guy that goes and does well on cleaner water type lakes like the Highland type reservoirs. I say that, but yet Grand Lake and Hartwell aren't all that different.
No, not hugely different.
Grand Lake's just typically a lot dirtier than Hartwell, but we saw some dirty water this week.
Yeah.
Did that play into his hands, huh?
Man, I think that. I honestly think that
Do you think that Hartwell being a little more stained than what I'm used to seeing it in places
it had to.
made him feel more at home, more comfortable?
Yeah, and I think the amount of preparation. I mean, Jason Christie's going to prepare more so for the Classic than
Yeah.
he is for Lake Palestine or
Right.
you know what I mean, any other
Yeah.
lake on the schedule.
Yeah.
So I think everything just lined up. Stars might have aligned, and it was just up to him to fish clean and get it done, and he did.
My God, he did. So,
That dude is. I mean,
what was crazy, and you think back to when these guys went through the Opens, and if you don't think these guys are on a different level, not even a different level than you and me, obviously, yes.
right.
But on any of y'all listening,
Yeah.
but on a different level than the other guys they compete against at the top.
Right.
Look at how many guys want to come in through the Opens.
And can't get there that have the ability.
But Jason Christie and Greg Hackney,
No problem. First try.
first try. Boom, right on through.
Yep.
Dude, when they click in and go all in, nothing else matters but this fishing tournament,
Everybody's in trouble.
they're going to beat you.
Everybody's
You're going
in
to
trouble.
lose. You're going to lose, dog. And I think that's kind of what we saw this week was Chris, which we say that, dude, this was maybe the closest Classic we've ever seen. I mean, you had Stetson Blaylock show up today and catch 20 pounds, and Kyle Wutcher beats him by a handful of ounces, and then Christie beats Kyle Wutcher by 4 ounces. So we're talking about 1 pound over 15 fish.
And it was kind of a grinder tournament, which,
Was.
which plays into the hands of Jason Christie.
It does. It does.
You look at every tournament on that level that is just tough,
Well, and they let him go to pitching boat docks, dude.
and that's not good. He's
Like,
probably the best.
He's one of the best. Like
In the world.
They let my man get his flipping stick in his hand, and like that or spinnerbait. Don't have that be the deal.
No.
With Jason Christie in the field, that's for sure. Those two things, he excels at those two things big time. So
He's like my spirit animal when it comes to fishing, honestly, because that is like my two favorite ways to.
speaking of being a grinder, it was a grinder tournament to some degree, and it was kind of a weird deal with the fish. And we've talked about this a little bit over the last week or two, where there's a lull before the storm of the spawn. Like
right.
every year, it happens at Fork, it happens everywhere. I think what we just saw was kind of that happening at Hartwell to some degree. These guys are so good they make it look like it wasn't.
Yeah.
But how much the bite changed day to day and how many different things guys were doing, and guys were making adjustments in the middle. Like Welcher just went around junk fishing today. Welcher even said on stage, like, I didn't know what I was going to do at 10 o'clock. I was out. Like, I was out of fish. And 4 of the fish he weighed into, they came in areas he's never even seen, doing baits he had me throwing all week. And those fish get in a limbo right before they spawn. Mm-hmm. And this little warming trend just wasn't quite enough to get them on the bank and get them spawning where we could see some sight fishing in a Classic, which I don't ever remember seeing. That would have been cool. But it wasn't quite enough to get them there, but it wasn't cold enough to keep them grouped up. And we heard Brandon Cobb talk about that on live coverage, how he was really banking on them fish being in their staging areas grouped up, and it didn't play out for him, and he had a bad event. Or had a bad day one. Because day 2 was good for Brandon Cobb. Really good. And that's the deal with these guys. Even when they suck, the next day they usually don't. Right? Well, another reason they're one of the best. But it was just a weird event as far as the fishing goes. You had live scope with spotted bass, and you had Doc flipping, and you had Stetson just running out of bank, cranking a medium shallow diving crankbait. looked like a crawfish in clear water. That didn't make no sense to know. Even the guys covering the tournament, like Davey Height, Mark Zona, Tommy, these guys who've seen it all were like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this should not be working. And this guy's leading the tournament on it. I feel really bad for Stetson Blaylock.
I do too.
I really wanted him to win. I even texted him after the live coverage. I texted him when he was between his tournament time and weigh-in. I sent him a text. I was like, man, I'm so proud for you. Because I thought he'd won it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he'd won it. And I was so proud for him because I know how much he cares about his performance in this sport. I know he's not one of those guys that's like, well, I've made it to the Elite Series. I've got to win. I've got an established career. Let's just keep cruising right along. No, he wants to be one of the best. You know, he does. And I think all those guys do to some degree, but he really wants it. He also is very dedicated to his family. He's very much a family-first guy. And so he has to work around that balance of being at home, being involved in his kids' lives, and being on the road trying to be the best angler on earth. And so I know that's something that he works really hard to be the best at both. And he's a guy that does things the right way. And I can't say enough good things about Stetson Blaylock. I was pulling for him. In all honesty, me personally, I was pulling for him harder than I was anybody else. Just because I know what kind of guy he is. I know the way he does things. And I really wanted to see him win. And the way the live coverage unfolded, when he caught that last fish in the last minute of competition, it looked like he won because they had him in the lead on Bass Track. Mm-hmm. And then you know he just called at least a pound, maybe two. Like, to me, that says, okay, well, he just won. Hell, he came in third. Speaking of that, you just want good transition, right?
Yeah, you want me to lead it off? You want me to lead it off?
Yeah, you know, I think it's about time. Chris, I think it's about time. First of all, before we get into this, obviously, first 30 minutes of the podcast, we love this tournament. We love this organization. I love Dave Mercer. I love Miss Mandy over there that works with the media guys. Everybody that I have a relationship with at Bass, I have nothing but the utmost admiration for. It is an unbelievable organization, hands down. This event is amazing. I do think the Classic is the best event in bass fishing. No disrespect to the Red Crest or that field, which is unbelievable, but the spectacle, the stadium, everything that they do, this is the best event, in my opinion, in bass fishing. Mm-hmm. That being said, it ain't perfect, dog.
Do I need to be politically correct on this?
I mean, like, no. Whatever you want to do.
All right.
I trust you.
Bass Track is bullshit.
Bass Track is bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. Bass Track is ridiculous. It's.
You can't. I understand getting close, but you can't be that far off.
You can't have a guy in the lead and he's the last one to make a call and then he loses. That means you're off by pounds.
Yeah.
Multiple pounds.
Right. It's not good.
Okay. See, and here's a comment right here. Christie went from 13 to 17. They didn't show his catches, evidently. That's not true. They showed his catches.
Yeah, they showed them all.
Here's what happens. Those guys on Bass Track, they're letting the anglers tell them what their fish weigh.
Exactly. What is that? That's it's about a 2-3, when in all reality,
it's a 3.
It's a 3.
3.5.
Yeah.
They are down.
Or vice versa the other way.
They are downplaying their catches on purpose. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they want spectator boats to not get on them.
Correct.
That's the deal. They don't want the spectator boats on them. Which I understand, and I don't expect them to do anything else.
Right.
I don't expect the anglers to change their... because how can you call them out? I mean, you're just guessing the weight half the time.
Yeah.
We all get that wrong from time to time. Like, you can't really do anything about it or say anything. Wesley Dean, man, I sure appreciate you. Thank you very much. At the same time, we got to get this better, dog. Because the reality is, we've got a competing tour where the weights in the boat are official.
Yes.
And that real-time scoreboard for live coverage,
yeah, you've got to be,
bro, that's the deal.
You've got to be accurate.
That is what makes the live coverage a phenomenal television product. It's what makes people love Major League Fishing. People that don't even know fishing watch Major League Fishing because it's a real sport with a real scoreboard that is official. We have got to fix Bass Track. I don't care if the boat marshals start weighing every fish before it goes on live well. Whatever it is.
Let's just make it accurate.
We can come up with a solution. Bass, buy a scale, buy 100 sets of scales. You can afford it.
Yeah.
Buy 100 sets of certified scales, give them to every marshal, and have that, when that guy says, okay, this one's going live well, the marshal weighs it and puts it in a live well. You still have your weigh-in. You still have your climatic deal. But Bass Track needs to be accurate, bro.
And even like, it can't be to the degree of like what happened today. Like, it just can't.
Yeah, if we've got two guys that are on Bass Track and they are 3 or 4 ounces from each other, or even 8 ounces from each other, and that flip-flops by a few ounces,
Right. Okay.
I can deal with that.
But pounds.
But when I see a guy that's a pound up already, and he makes the last cull of the day in the very last minute, so that gives him, and it looks like it's going to give him at least another pound or two, and then that guy loses
Yeah.
by over half a pound? No, bro. I'm not good with 2.5, 3 pounds of difference.
Right.
I'm not good with that. That's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like from a fan standpoint, we have got to fix Bass Track.
Yeah, this
because
is
Bass Track is
bullshit.
it's bullshit. Bass Track's bullshit.
Yeah, this isn't. At the end of the day, if you're gonna jump into the live coverage realm and cover everything,
And that's your only TV show now, right?
Right.
We don't even have. Listen, it's
Right.
not like the old
Exactly.
days.
I was just fixing to say
We
that.
don't have the other TV option to watch
That's right.
if you want to consume it that way. This is the only TV option. You got to fix Bass Track.
This isn't bingo. Like, let's get it right.
You got to fix Bass Track for 2 reasons. One, because you got to fix Bass Track because it makes it the show better, the live show better. Number 2, you better do it because your competition does.
Right.
Okay, and their format, say what you want to about the different organizations, they both have their headbutting rivalry, whatever you want to call it. And we've called out MLF on several things over the last couple of years. Love the organization, still love watching their events, but there's a lot of things that they do that I wish they do different. This is one of the things that I think Bass needs to address. Bass Track has got to get fixed.
Got to get fixed.
Somebody said get rid of Bass Track. No way. Now, how do you get rid of Bass Track? You got to have a scoreboard,
Yep.
or it's not a real sport on TV. You're just watching dudes fishing. Like that's like you're just watching a YouTube video of a guy fishing. It's no longer a competition anymore if you don't have a scoreboard.
Right.
In my opinion, like you can't get rid of Bass Track, but you need to fix it.
I think so. You know, all those guys, they have like a Colin Wright scale or something, right? I say you certify them all, give them to the anglers.
Yeah, Bass
Go
buys
with that.
100 scales and
Yeah.
gives every marshal that's in the boat a scale, and then when that's my first suggestion, and maybe there's a better suggestion or idea out there, but my first right off the top of my head as we're talking through it tonight is you give every marshal a certified scale. When that animal goes, okay, this one's going in the box. Now we make the rules where the judge can touch the fish and all that, and he just weighs the fish, writes it down, drops the fish on a live well for the angler.
Yep.
And the angler's already back fishing. He's got to spend less time anyway. He'll like that better. If he can just go ahead and go to fishing. And then our Bass Track is accurate. I mean, I think that solves it. I really do think that solves it. How cool would it be if they go to that? And you heard it here first, folks.
That's right.
You heard it here
I
first.
just saw a comment that said, then get rid of weigh-in.
Then get rid of weigh-in.
Yeah.
Well, no. That's no fun either.
Right.
One of the most frustrating things for me with MLF is that they don't have a weigh-in.
Right. I agree.
Because they release all their fish. They just, they want to promote fish care, and I get that.
I was a big.
Like, to me, with MLF, they should at least bring in a big bass or two and have,
Thank you.
a celebration.
Thank you.
Let's have a culmination. Let's give these anglers their time on the stage. Let's give them their opportunity to plug their sponsors because they need to do that. That's part of the sport, too. Let's give the fans a reason to show up in person because if you've never been to a Bassmaster weigh-in, you're missing out. It is fun.
Yo, yeah.
It is a ton of fun at these weigh-ins. I don't think you do away with the weigh-in. I think you make Bass Track more accurate, but it's still not final till they weigh in. That way, if you've got two guys that are within a few ounces of each other, like we had today, you still have the chance for Welcher and Christie to flip-flop in that situation. But you shouldn't have had the chance for Stetson to be that far ahead of them
Right.
a couple pounds after that last call
Right.
before they go to the stage.
Because what happens is now
And,
you. Now
and today
you
was a
lose-
very unique situation. This is not common. This is not happening.
No, it almost never plays
Yeah,
out this way.
right.
But today showed you what can play out. And I don't know. I was. I don't know. I was watching Bass Track. I took off to head over here. And what was the first thing I asked you? About the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, he edged out Stetson? And you said, no, bro.
Welcher edged out Stetson, and he edged out Welcher.
And I said, what?
Yeah, I know. It was the top three were in the exact opposite order on Bass Track.
Right, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case.
Threw me for a loop.
It wouldn't fill the venue if everybody already knew the winner. I couldn't disagree more.
Man.
Because guess what? Here's what you're saying. So last year when Lee caught 42 pounds on Lake Fork, he won by like 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019 when Brandon Cobb won, he won by 10 pounds on Lake Fork. Guess what was still full?
Yeah.
The weigh-in.
Yeah.
Everybody knew who won the event. The weigh-in was still a huge crowd. So facts in history say that you're just, no disrespect, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because most of the time with Bass Track, we do know who won the event, and the weigh-ins still draw the big crowds.
That's right.
It's still the culmination of the event. It's still the big party at the end.
It's like hole number 16 at TPC Scottsdale when somebody makes a hole in one.
Yeah.
Just all hell breaks loose.
It's a party.
It's a party.
It is an absolute party at these things. It's so much fun. So much fun. Totally different than the classic venue. Okay, yes, the classic venue is much bigger and different than a regular Bassmaster event. Do you still think that all those people going to the Classic Expo are not going to come to the weigh-in? Like, yeah, they are. It's free. Like, they're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming, bro.
I don't know. I think.
See, and there's all these. Here's these other ideas, and I'm glad we're having this discussion. And for those of y'all that I'm disagreeing with, this is all just opinion. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, and I'm glad we're going to have this conversation with real bass fishing fans.
Yes.
Then we got, so you weigh the 4 biggest fish, Bass Track is on point, then the anglers take the biggest bass in their boat to weigh, and you still get all the suspense at the stadium. That's not going along with the point that I'm wanting to make. And we had another one over here that said something about don't use the ounces, just use the pounds. No, that's still making Bass Track inaccurate.
There's still too much room for error.
And also the reality of this is there was 154,000 people at the Classic the whole week.
Right.
There was hundreds of thousands of people watching on live coverage today.
Yep. No doubt.
So as a company, what matters more? There might have been 1 million people watching on live coverage. I have no idea.
The eyeballs watching.
For sure, there were many hundreds of thousands of people watching live coverage today.
Yeah.
As a company, what matters more is that live coverage.
Yep.
That's what matters the most. For dollars, for the health of the organization, for the health of the sport, that's what matters most.
Yep.
And for that to be right and that to be the best product it can be,
It has to be accurate.
it's got to be right.
Yep.
I'm not saying it has to be per ounce right, but it can't be 2-3 pounds off.
Right.
We can't have the top 3 flip-flop. It just... Anyway, I'm beating it over the head. I keep saying the same thing. That's my opinion on it. You guys have your opinion. Continue to comment it. I love that we're interacting like this. I think it's beautiful, and this is what the two different sides of the political aisle should do. Have a discussion. Respect each other. Say, man, I disagree with you. I appreciate your opinion, but I disagree with you.
That's right.
Why can't our politicians be like us, folks? That's all I'm
right.
saying.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. I'll tell you why. You want to know why? 10 seconds of liberal tears coming up right now. The reason we can have a conversation and be respectful and disagree is because we all love bass fishing.
That's right.
The reason the politicians on both sides of the aisle can't have a discussion and be respectful and disagree is because not all of them love this country, liberals. Not all of them love this country. Go cry about that 10 seconds in liberal tears.
That's right.
That ought to get some things going in the comments. Might have just got banned from social media forever. Look, we're going to get demonetized and banned off 2 platforms at once now because we're on Facebook and YouTube at the same time.
Has that ever been done?
I don't know. We're just here to be the best, folks.
I wore my shirt for a reason.
We're here to be the best. Told you the shirt would make sense.
Yep, it makes sense.
It makes sense now, doesn't it? The
It
shirt
does.
makes sense now. There it is. Somebody said the reason they don't agree is because they don't go bass fishing. I got it.
Yep.
All right, that brings me to my next thing.
So good. It's good stuff. Good stuff all the way around the board.
And this one is going to really make me the bad guy. Really, really make me the bad guy.
Uh-oh.
No,
you got at least one that agrees with you.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to be the bad guy right here. Because we've had this debate for years. When the great exodus happened to Bass Pro Tour, and it left, let's be honest, it left Bassmaster just shelled out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they were holed out. They were empty. And they had to go get guys from the Opens and get whoever to fill the spots. And we were like, well, that's not the best tour in the world anymore because that doesn't have Greg Hackney
That's
and that
not
doesn't
Ed
have
Levers.
Yeah, Evan Evers, Kevin Van Dam, all these guys, right? And some of them, Swindle, Polnick, Hackney, Jason Christie, a lot of Prosnick, they've come back, right? Iaconelli, they've come back. So a lot have come back. But we've had this debate even last year, and we're like, are they even now? I think they're pretty close to even.
It's close, but there's one.
Let me ask you this though. You got a field of 55 guys. Today you got 25 guys, right? And you got Justin Hamner, great young angler, great young. This was kind of his hello world moment on the big stage, on the big tour, was today. Qualified for the Classic through the Opens because this is his first year on the Elite Series. But Hamner did his thing this week, right? You've got guys like Patrick that have put some skins on the wall, like Lee that have put some skins on the wall. You've got just a ton of guys, Brock Mosley, Buddy Gross. You know, we keep going down this list of names. It was in his top 25 today, right? But just hear me out. No disrespect to any of those guys I just mentioned. Wouldn't you rather take Justin Hamner out and put Edwin Evers in? If this is the Super Bowl, if this is the creme de la creme, this is the Super Bowl of bass fishing tournaments, this is the best of the best, wouldn't you rather pluck out Hamner and put in Evers?
Yeah. I mean,
wouldn't you rather take out Buddy Gross and throw in Jacob Wheeler?
I don't think anybody would say no.
Name another name, plug in Ott Defoe.
So, I've got an idea.
Here's the unfortunate thing, and I'm going to sound like this is why I say I'm going to be the bad guy. Because I know Jason Christie felt like he just lifted a monkey off his back. And he should, rightfully so. And I don't want to take anything away from what he just did, because what he just did was incredibly mentally tough. And it was stuff that champions are made of. And I'm proud for him, and it was awesome to see. Congratulations to him one more time. When he played against those guys, he didn't finish the job. He finishes the job today, but you know what? Edwin's not there. And Ott's not there. And Jacob's not there. And Jordan Lee's not there. So I know what he would say. He would say, none of that matters.
Right.
This is the Classic. I know he would say that. In the back of his mind, is there a doubt floating around of would he have been able to, especially considering how tight it was, 4 ounces, 4-ounce victory? Would he have finished the job if those guys were in this field? What's your opinion?
I think that those guys at that level of competition think exactly like you and I do. If I'm going to be the best, I want to beat the best. And I think that knowing
I don't think there's any doubt he would have rather them be in the field if he won.
100%. 100%.
But is there doubt in his mind about would he have won if those guys were there?
I'm sure.
Do you think there is doubt?
I mean, maybe not necessarily doubt, but maybe just the what if game. I mean, put yourself in the scenario.
It would bother me.
Right.
It would bother me.
Because of...
That's why... Listen.
Because of your competitive
That's
nature.
why we titled this, we're going to talk about the problems with this event that nobody else will talk about. Because this is not... You're not supposed to say that. Jason Christie just had this lifelong accomplishment. You're not supposed to bring this up.
Right.
But if I was Jason Christie, that would bother me, dude.
No doubt.
Like, it would bother me I didn't get it done against those guys.
No doubt. Same.
And I'm not saying that Lee and Patrick aren't as good as Ott and Jacob at this point. Well, they're not as good as Jacob. And probably not Ott right now either. You know, really, they're probably really not as good as Jacob and Ott. Honestly, they're really not, in my opinion. But I'm not sure that Lee and Patrick aren't better than a lot of those guys we've been naming.
And they probably are. But it's the draw.
Like, I want Lee and Patrick and Ott and Jacob.
Right, no doubt.
And Edwin.
No doubt.
Like, I think at this point, Lee and Patrick are probably pretty close to current status of Edwin Evers. Not Edwin Evers' resume, obviously.
Right.
But if they're lining up today, and I got to pick a winner between them three, between Patrick, Lee, and Edwin, depending on the conditions in the lake and all that, I might pick those guys over Edwin. At this, Like, it's going to be a tight deal there.
Yep.
But man, if I was Jason Christie, I'd want all of them in that. Like, we as bass fishing fans are getting screwed, and we've said this before. We need the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, dude.
Dude,
We need the Flint Mega Bowl, bro. Like, we need the top 30 from MLF Bass Pro Tour and the top 30 from Bassmaster to have one big event.
I was just gonna say I got this great idea. I feel like I've heard it before.
We've talked about this before, but we as like that's what's wrong with this event. And it's not even it's not Bassmaster's fault at all. It's not Jason Christie's fault at all in any kind of way. There's nothing they could have done to stop this. There's nothing they could have done to change it. The only thing we can do going forward is try to get the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
That's what we want.
Dude, we need the Mega Bowl, bro. Like, it's got to happen at some point. Will it ever happen?
Yes.
5 years down the road, 10 years down, what do you think?
Man, I think if you put it in dollars, I think.
Well, there's no doubt. An event like that, you get somebody who knows what they're doing, they can make some money. Like, they can raise the money for it.
I think if you sell it to the MLF side of things in dollars, I think that's the only way that it happens. Because I think that there's more. Man, now I'm gonna sound like the bad guy. All right, I think there's more integrity towards the sport taken into account by Bassmaster. I think Bassmaster looks out for the credibility of the sport, the integrity, and doing things the right way. And I think it's more dollars and cents on the BPT MLF side. Just my opinion. You may disagree with me, but if you sell it in a dollars and cents strategy to MLF, I think that you potentially could have something like that.
Yeah, we need a Mega Bowl.
And I think also, too, Bassmaster would be more than willing to say, hey, y'all check out some of these hands we got now.
Bassmaster will be on board. Like,
Yeah.
the Bass Pro Tour guys will be the ones that had something to lose here.
Correct.
Because they have the bigger resumes. They've been at the top level longer.
More of the allure.
They're
Yes.
And here's the other thing I would say, though, to counter the argument of the rosters not being even or MLF having the better anglers, take a look at these events this year. Now that they've got a few rookies showed up.
And some of these guys are,
These rookies are showing up in the top 10, bro.
yeah, they're not just like,
Second event in, we got multiple rookies showing up in the top 10.
yeah, they're not just filling the field. They're catching.
To me, that goes to speak to some of them guys that have been on Bass for 3 years, probably be whooping up on some of them boys that we think they wouldn't on MLF.
But think about the road they had to go to get where they are.
Ott just got beat by some dudes that just got the MLF at Fort.
Right.
He sure did. Now, I'm not saying as the year unfolds that I won't have a better year than them. I'm not saying it. But he might not. Like, they've already proven 2 events in that these rookies can play with these dogs that have been. And Alton Jones Jr. ain't no experienced hand.
No.
Like, Alton Jr. is not one of the guys that's over there at BPT that you go, we need to plug Alton Jones Jr. in over Patrick Walters.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
Right.
He's not. Not taking them from Alton Jr. He's young in his career too.
That's
And
right.
he just beat him at Lake Fork. He just beat Jacob Wheeler. You know, he just beat Ish Monroe. You know, he beat all them guys.
Yeah, I think, man, it would be.
I really do think like we've got a pretty even distribution on the rosters of talent.
Yeah.
So to say that the Bassmaster Classic doesn't mean as much as, you know, or the Bass Elite Series wins don't mean as much as the MLF event, I think those days are done. I think we're even.
Right.
The problem is the Classic is supposed to be, what the Bassmaster Classic is supposed to be is the best of the best.
That's right.
And it can't be the best of the best unless the best from that side are coming too, because they're equal. They're equal.
It needs to be I think that one way Bass could change that is it needs to be an open qualification for anybody involved in the sport. And I don't know how. Surely there's somebody smarter than me that could manipulate that. But make it to where Jacob Wheeler can qualify for the Classic. Make it to where Edwin Evers can qualify for the Classic.
Well, I think that's why you see some of those guys fishing opens when they can.
Right.
And it's really just to get the win and try to get in on the Classic.
Right.
You know,
I couldn't agree more.
like the last couple of years, that's been the rule. The last couple of years on the opens, you win, you get into the Classic. I think there's been some guys that were just trying to qualify for the Classic.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, whether you do it MLA or AOY points or something, there's got to be a way, because you open up the doors to where these MLF guys can qualify and fish the Classic. That'll be the most watched Classic to date, bar none. Wouldn't
Yeah.
even be close.
Well, and dude, we just need the Mega Bowl. Like, we need the Mega Bowl. We need real money involved. We need real rewards involved. and then it becomes, in my opinion, the new classic.
Bro, can you imagine the venue? It'd be like a scene off a dodgeball. Like you'd have one side blue,
Oh, yeah.
one side red.
Yeah.
It would just be.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, it'd be wild.
And blue versus red.
Yeah.
Dude, that's perfect.
Yeah.
What is this, Halo?
Yeah.
Like blue. My kids are nerds. See, sorry.
Yeah.
Blue versus red is like, yeah. I mean, that would be
Can you imagine that venue? Rowdy.
like if you did it right within a few years, it would be the biggest event in bass fishing, the biggest single event in bass fishing. Like
Oh, no
it
doubt.
could.
By a lot.
I think it could potentially because of the names that you would bring in. If you got the dollars right and the funding right and all that, I think that, and the production right, live coverage on TV, that's a lot to get done. But if you somehow manage to pull all that off, it could become the thing that supersedes the Classic or the Red Crest or all of it. The one event. Yeah, we still got the Elite Series, we still got Bass Pro Tour, and those are the big deal. And they've got their championships, and those are big deals. But then there's this Super Bowl, man, the real Super Bowl. Because what was the original real Super Bowl, Chris? You remember? You had the NFL and you had the AFL.
AFL. That's what I was. Yeah.
You had two professional football leagues.
Yeah.
And as the AFL started coming on, they said, okay, well, y'all's champion's going to play our champion. That's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Same principle here. If we really want the Super Bowl, we got to do the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, dude. You got to give me top 30 from each side, and we got to go to war.
I mean, just think about both viewerships colliding. Because how many people watch MLF and don't watch Bass, or vice versa? I promise there's plenty.
There's some that are loyal to one or the other. I think most bass fishing fans watch both, but there's some that are loyal to one or the other. Now, Brian Rich said Duckett doesn't want it. It doesn't matter. It's not an MLF event. It's not a Bassmaster event.
Right.
That's the deal.
It's its
That's
own
the
entity.
beautiful part about this is an individual entity could come in and create this event, and there's nothing to prevent those guys from fishing.
That's right.
Unless Bass and MLF start saying, guys, y'all can't fish Tuesday nighters at your home lakes.
Right.
You can't fish Bass Champs. You can't fish. You know what? You can't fish any tournament that's not sanctioned within our organization. Unless they make that a rule, there's nothing they can do to stop it. If an individual entity comes in, an individual group of people come in and make the Mega Bowl, there's no way they can stop it.
And I'll be honest with you, those guys aren't going to make a rule like that because they wouldn't have a field.
No, they'd all bail to the other side that didn't do that. I'll tell you who's not going to make that rule. Bass isn't going to make that rule.
No.
Bass is never going to make a rule saying you can't fish events outside of our organization. Not going to happen. So if MLF ever did that, everybody'd be trying to get back into bass.
Because I don't know how much y'all have watched like individual like camera time on some of these guys. Bro, like 85 to 90% of these guys fish Tuesday nighters.
Oh,
Fish
yeah.
Just local derbies. Like they just love it. They just can't get enough of it. Like you're not going to stop these guys from fishing tournaments.
Right.
So
No.
if anybody were ever to be,
What format would the Mega Bowl be? And that's another interesting aspect that we have discussed some. And it would take some thinking, but a blend of both, to me, would be best.
Yeah.
On the championship day, I feel like it's got to be best five. That's the longest standing traditional form of measuring the best day is best five. So on championship day, I think it's got to be best five. But I think what you do is you do one day best five, and you get points based on where you placed on that day. Then you do 1 day total weight. You get points based on where you finish that day. And then the top 20 go to the final day, 25, go to the final, however many you want to do.
Best
They
five.
go to the final day, and it's a best five event. And we go 1 day best five and go see who wins.
yep,
Or hell, weigh them in the boat and release them to go do 1 day best 10. You could get really creative. There's a lot of things you could do with that. A lot of things you could do with that format, especially now with technology where we can weigh them in the boat.
I mean, because both sides would be exploited to, not being familiar with the others.
Yeah. Well, everybody's familiar with best five.
Everybody's familiar with it, but what I'm saying is,
Because
like,
Jacob Wheeler and them, they still fish the pro circuit. They still fish events at their house. They're all still real familiar with fishing for the five biggest.
right,
And they've always fished that their whole life. The only ones that would be at a disadvantage really would be, in that situation, in my opinion, would be the bass guys doing the every fish counts deal on day two.
right, because it's foreign.
It's new to them.
Yeah,
And we've seen some of those guys that were great go to that every fish counts format and struggle. Struggle.
I'd say probably the majority of them struggle.
Well, I think now they've adjusted to it. I would say now they've adjusted
I'm saying
to
that
it.
first.
Yeah. There's an adjustment period.
Yeah,
There's an adjustment.
because dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, an every fish counts deal. Yeah, I'm out on that, dude. Because I'll junk fish my way to 5.
Yeah.
a lot of times in a tournament.
I'm the same way. Same way.
So,
And I've always preferred to target bigger fish than numbers of fish. I've said this: if you're looking for a fishing guide that's going to help you catch a bunch of fish and have like tons of fun catching lots of fish all day, I'm not your guide. Like I have days where I catch a lot of fish, but as a fishing guide, I'm more of like we're going to go try to catch the 5 biggest.
right.
Like y'all strap in, we're going to grind, but when we lean on one, it should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I've always fished. Because for my entire life, the only thing that I knew about how to measure bass fishing was what's your best 5 today?
Best 5
What
today.
we caught about 20 pounds. Well, that's a good day. We caught about 25. That's a great day. 30, holy crap,
Yeah.
We caught 15. That's okay. Like I've always just measured it by best 5 in my head. Even though I'm not a big tournament guy, I've always measured it in my head that way. Because I grew up watching Bob Cobb and Jerry McInnes. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the one thing that Bassmaster has going for it. Is they have been, even though we had FLW, and FLW got really due. When FLW had David Dudley at his peak, and Brent Ayler, and Brian Thrift, and Andy Morgan, like, dude, FLW was good. Like, the fishing on that side was very, very, very good. And those guys have shown us, when they've gone to different tours, they're as good as anybody.
Yeah, they belong, for sure.
That being said, there's like, the branding-wise, tradition-wise, Bassmaster is the face of bass fishing for almost everybody that is into the sport. Bassmaster has been the sole face of bass fishing, or the top face of bass fishing, for their entire lives. When they think about bass fishing, they think about Bassmaster, the organization.
That's right.
So Bass has that. It's a huge advantage to them. We've had great attendance tonight, man. We've been over a couple hundred people for almost this entire live stream, which is almost an hour long, and we can't thank you enough for that. We did let go of some controversial opinions, and to be honest with you, this is a little risky for me.
Yeah.
For me, this is a little risky because, man, I get some information and I get some shows with guys from Bassmaster, and I get the media hookup when I go to their events, and man, I'm hoping I'm not burning any relationships with them.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do have faith in is those people are good people, and they'll take criticism. They'll take it constructively. I don't worry about the opinion of we want the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl. I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that at all. I think they would probably actually agree with me, most of them. We need the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl. But, the deal about, what was it we were talking about earlier?
Which part?
Right before this. Bass Track.
Oh, yeah, Bass Track.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't upset anybody over at Bass over that. I really hope I didn't. I certainly didn't want to, but I'm a fan of the sport, and I want to see it get better. Bass is unbelievable. I do think Bass, I'll say this for Bass, I think their coverage is better than the other side. I think their team, I think their crew, their commentary guys, their camera guys, their production guys, I think they hands down win that battle.
I agree.
They give you more and better information as the tournament's going on to help you understand when it's a lake you're unfamiliar with. I've never been to Hartwell in my life, but I got a pretty good handle on what went on there because of Zona and Tommy and Dave Mercer and Suchek, like all those guys, and then the guys behind the camera, the production guys, the camera guys. They do such a great job that I do like their coverage significantly better than the other ones. So I love Bassmaster. Hopefully I didn't upset anybody by going in on the Bass Track deal.
We call it like we see it, man. And
Yeah.
everybody's.
You're always going to get 100% honesty here, to a fault at times.
Yeah.
And tonight may have been one of those times where we may have not should have said some of the things we said, but that ain't never going to change.
No, never. I can't shut up.
I'm a big believer and big proponent of America and traditional American principles and values. Free speech is one of those things.
This is still America.
So we're going to talk.
Last time I checked, we still live in America, Billy.
Ricky Moore says, Billy, you make a lot of videos with buddies betting on most, biggest, first. Yeah, I do. We do. And we do. I enjoy the total weight format when we go fishing against each other. And most, biggest, and first is just something I've done since before I was guiding. Just with buddies getting my boat. Hey, $3 bet, man. $1 for first, $1 for most, and $1 for biggest. That was just an easy way to keep track of it where you didn't have to take time and weigh fish. Ronnie Moore is another guy that adds to the coverage very, very much. So, all right, man. Chris, what do you think, man? Anything you got to say?
Man, congratulations to Jason
Yes.
Christie again. That is
Despite all the stuff that we just talked, one thing's for sure, that was awesome to see
That was
him
awesome.
accomplish that. That was a great, great moment in the sport of bass fishing. And so truly congratulations to Jason Christie. That was awesome.
But
That's the wrap it up box. Remember Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
The wrap it up box? That's it. That's it right there. But what? You lost it now? did I get you?
That's good. There's something about this song that just puts me in a good mood.
Makes me want to go get after it a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Dude, did I tell you about my tournament yesterday?
You told me you sucked. It's a familiar story here lately with you. You haven't had a good run here lately.
Dude, especially on Palestine.
I used to get on you because you would fish good, but you would never win. Like, you just get second.
Yeah.
Can't even do that anymore. Like,
Dude.
you just been bad here lately. What's going on? You in a rut.
Lake Palestine's in a rut. But you know
Oh.
what? No, listen.
It don't matter whether the lake's in a rut or not. You can still win and not catch them as good as you thought you would.
Look, just like we talked about earlier, though, those guys are going to come to Lake Palestine here in about a month.
Oh, yeah.
And they're gonna make everybody think it's on fire.
That's what I told you.
They're that good.
You walked in my house. You said Lake Palestine sucks right now. I said you ain't gonna think it sucks come April.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, they gonna make you think it's fishing
No
really good.
doubt.
'Cause
And that is true. Those guys are that good.
I guarantee you, the average dude get out on Hartwell this week with them fishing that pre-spawn funk, right? You know, that lull right before they get on beds. The average dude go out to Hartwell right now and throw up a goose egg, or catch just a few.
8 pounds a day would win a tournament out there right now.
Anthony Carvajal is asking about the boat lane shit. I'm working on it, dude. I'm trying to get it done, but I'm taking my time because we are going to do the most thorough, most information. You're going to have more info on this boat lane ship than anything you've ever seen before. That takes time to get done, especially around my guiding and father schedule. So, and it's soccer season now, so I got that going with my kids. So, Chris knows this time of year they ain't a lot of free time. I'm going to get it done. I really, really, really want to have it available for sale to deliver to you guys by the end of the month. That's my goal. So, I'm trying.
Big things coming.
Trying real hard. That bowling ship's going to be something else.
Hey, I've had some inside look on that stuff, and it's
Yeah, it's right back there. The trails are saved right back there. And the old silver bullet back there, boy.
I went digging through that thing a couple weeks ago.
I've had this boat for almost a year, and I haven't even named it yet.
Really?
And finally, the day, I came up with a name for it.
Silver bullet.
No, not silver bullet. That was the last one. You misquoted. I misquoted myself a minute ago.
Okay.
That is the Slaunch Wagon.
The Slaunch Wagon.
Yeah, that's the that old girl over there is the Slaunch
I
Wagon.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this is one of my favorite color schemes
You like
that
it?
you've got. Yeah.
I need to order new ones so I can sell that sucker. Just something else to get to on my list of things to do. Hey, man, thank you guys so much for watching, as you always do here at your Lake Fork Guide on the Fish Life Podcast, the lowest budget it's actually live podcast there is in the world of bass fishing. Broken phones, working phones, and chargers. That's all we got.
That's all we got.
Can't get underneath that budget. It's not even possible.
Nope.
It's not even possible to stream for cheaper than we do it here.
I just realized I haven't even looked at this screen all night.
Yeah, that makes us the L-ball, lowest budget actually live. Makes you guys the low ballers. We appreciate you low ballers for joining us. Chris, do that thing you do, baby.
Live it, love it.